If somebody were to ask you who you believe are some of the biggest what-ifs in NBA history, you probably would think about some people like, I don't know, Grant Hill or Derrick Rose. And rightfully so. Both of those players were so great. They were so unbelievably gifted and talented that injuries completely derailed their careers for what would have been legendary status. But there is another player who I believe should be considered in that list of biggest what-ifs. And it might seem a bit shocking because that player to me is Kawhi Leonard. Look, before we get into everything, what's good, guys? It's Demi M7. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It would mean everything to me. Yeah, I'm saying it. This might be a hot take, but I'm saying it anyways. Kawhi Leonard is one of the biggest what-ifs in NBA history for me personally. Now, on its face, I know it sounds ridiculous because Kawhi has been recognized as a top 75 player of all time. He's a two-time NBA champion, a two-time Finals MVP, and a two-time Defensive Player of the Year. Widely recognized when healthy as one of the best two-way players in the game today and one of the best two-way players of all time. But notice how I said when healthy, because that's when it's true. When Kawhi Leonard is healthy, he is all of those things. But the unfortunate reality for Kawhi Leonard is that he hasn't been always healthy. In fact, Kawhi Leonard has honestly been one of the biggest faces of being injury prone. Look, in order to truly understand my position, we have to go back to when Kawhi Leonard left the Toronto Raptors and joined the Los Angeles Clippers. At that point in time, Kawhi Leonard was at the top of the NBA world. He put up one of the greatest playoff runs that we have ever seen from any player. He was dominant. So when he signed with the Clippers and they ended up getting Paul George as well, everybody had one thing on their mind when it came to that team: championship or championships, because the team from top to bottom was loaded with depth. So, of course, we have to fast forward to the 2019-2020 NBA playoffs, or AKA the bubble, where the Clippers infamously put up one of the biggest choke jobs that we have ever seen. But Kawhi Leonard did play. He did play throughout the entire playoffs there. He just played horribly in that Game 7 against Denver. So let's go to the next year's playoffs, where Kawhi Leonard got hurt in the middle of it. Kawhi got injured during their second round series against the Utah Jazz, where Paul George basically had to carry the team all the way to the Western Conference Finals, where they ended up losing to Phoenix in 6 games. They went 6 games against the Phoenix Suns without Kawhi Leonard. If Kawhi was playing and if he was healthy, it perfectly stands to reason that the Clippers would have gone to the NBA Finals to face off against the Milwaukee Bucks, and maybe, just maybe, they might have won the championship that year. Again, we'll never know because Kawhi got hurt at the worst time. And oh, by the way, that injury that he got against Utah was a torn ACL, which means that Kawhi Leonard completely missed the entire 2021-2022 season. So then we get to the 2023 playoffs, where the Clippers faced off against the Phoenix Suns. And in the first couple of games that Kawhi played, he was looking great. He was looking like a top 5 player in the league that we've all come to know and love. And then he gets hurt again. He actually tears his meniscus, which ends up causing the Clippers to lose that first round series. Fast forward to the 2024 playoffs, where in the first round against the Dallas Mavericks, Kawhi Leonard, once again, after playing just a couple of games, was hurt. He only played 2 games in a series that went to 6 games, and the Clippers end up losing again. Which brings us to this season, where Kawhi Leonard has only played 34 games so far, but it's looking like he will be ready to go for the playoffs. So when you stop and think about it, ever since Kawhi Leonard left the Raptors and joined the Clippers in 2019, he has only been healthy throughout one full playoff run. The rest of them, he either missed completely or missed half of them because he got hurt midway through. Now, going back to the bubble for just a second, I completely understand it. It was a choke job. The Clippers, by all intents and purposes, should have won the championship that year. As great as the Lakers were playing in that bubble, I just think the Clippers were a better team overall, and they could have beaten them. In fact, I believe during the regular season, during their matchups, the Clippers came out on top more often than not, but I could be wrong. And then, like I mentioned earlier, in the 2021 playoffs, I think the Clippers would have at least gone to the NBA Finals if Kawhi didn't get hurt against Utah. We could be sitting here today saying Kawhi Leonard could potentially have had 4 NBA championships under his belt. He would have easily been recognized universally as a top 10 player in NBA history. But he isn't. In fact, I have to think about where Kawhi actually does rank all time. Is there a legitimate argument for maybe top 20? Absolutely. Top 25, definitely, and top 30, no question. But this dude was so good. He was so great right in the midst of his prime. He was 27 years old when he won the championship in Toronto. He was quite literally entering his prime, and it got completely derailed because of all of his injuries. In fact, he was getting injured so often that he basically became the face of load management. Seriously, you could not talk about Kawhi Leonard without bringing up load management because, again, they were sitting him during the regular season because they wanted him to be healthy when it mattered most, and it still didn't work. And I also want to make this clear. This video isn't to disregard or disparage Kawhi Leonard. He's a great, great player. But there's simply no denying that this guy could have had a truly unbelievable and legendary career if not for injuries. I don't know if he would have won any league MVPs, but he maybe could have potentially won a couple of championships, which for most people matters much more. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this. And until next time, peace.